Hey folks, Dwayne here, the Curious Sage, and the message for today is about confirmation bias. Now, confirmation bias is actually a pretty simple concept to understand. It's basically when we either seek out information or we interpret information through a very particular lens, a belief that we hold within ourselves. And so when we find information that confirms that belief, it's good information. But if we find information that maybe doesn't confirm our belief, we reject it in some way. So, not to get political, because I just don't like politics at all, but a good example of confirmation bias is what we see in our country here in America today. And that is the differences between those that really embrace the current president and those that absolutely detest him. So all you have to do is watch social media and you'll see articles that have glimmers of information that might confirm or refute a particular perspective, and they get blown way out of proportion to the point that sometimes you just end up scratching your head kind of going, how did they get from point A to point B with that little shred of information twisted around in a certain way? Now, what does confirmation bias have to do with living your life purpose? Well, I'll tell you, and I see this oftentimes when I work with clients and when I'm coaching people in other venues and stuff. It has to do with people that have certain beliefs about themselves and their own abilities and their own strengths and weaknesses. And so if you say you can or you say you can't, you're probably right. And the fact of the matter is that oftentimes when we have a certain belief about ourselves, what we end up doing is looking at things like criticism or things that happen to us through that very narrow lens. And so, for example, if you really think that you were born a loser or that you can't learn a certain skill, well then any time that you have a setback or a failure of some sort, you will interpret that oftentimes through that lens, through that belief system that says, oh, I'll just never get this because I'm not good enough, or I just can't learn this because I'm just not wired that way. And so when you take a look at life purpose, confirmation bias can be one of the biggest obstacles we face in stepping into our greatness. Another thing, though, is that confirmation bias on the flip side can actually be a good thing. For example, if you believe that you have unlimited potential and that you are really creative or that you are really intuitive, then anything that you see, anything that comes through your life that confirms that will amplify that. So confirmation bias doesn't necessarily have to be a negative thing, but more times than not, when I see confirmation bias, it's with people who have convince themselves that they're not going to be living up to their life's dreams. They can't reach far enough. There's something in their way, or somebody in their way, or the way that they were raised somehow is a handicap for them. So my question to you for today is, in what areas of your life do you see confirmation bias? And are those areas limiting you? Or are they enabling you to go even further? And I think when you look at limiting beliefs that are underpinned by confirmation bias, those are the places to start digging in, because when you start looking at information and events and experiences through that lens that says I can't, then guess what? You won't. But when you allow yourself to get out of that rigidity of belief and believe for one moment perhaps that you can, the whole universe opens up before you and doors will begin to open. So think carefully about confirmation bias and where it may or may not be affecting your life. Have a great weekend. Have a great eclipse that's coming up here on the 21st. I know it's still a week away, but the energy level is high. This is a great time in our life right now to just boldly go forward with all that Leo energy that's out there right now. So check me out on my website at the end of this video, and I look forward to talking to you again very, very soon.